The channel should have spoken clearly. For the Dolphin, this stretch of water was familiar, a narrow corridor between sandbanks and deeper basins, shaped by tides and currents that usually sharpened sound instead of scattering it. Here, echoes came back clean and fast. Fish schools outlined themselves in tight, readable forms. Distance had edges. Today, the sound returned wrong. The Dolphin moved steadily through the channel, body cutting the water with controlled ease, dorsal fin breaking the surface only briefly before slipping back under. Its motion was smooth, economical, the kind of travel used when searching rather than chasing. It released a click. The echo came back soft, widened, indistinct. The Dolphin adjusted immediately, sending another pulse at a slightly different angle, then another, higher in frequency. Normally, this would clarify the picture, tightening outlines, separating objects into usable detail. Instead, the returns overlapped, boundaries blurred, distances smeared together, movement lost definition. The Dolphin slowed. Echolocation was not just a sense, it was orientation, navigation, and prediction combined. When echoes behaved incorrectly, the world itself became unreliable. The Dolphin reduced speed, rolling slightly to one side, scanning the channel from multiple angles. The water felt different too, not colder, not warmer, but layered. Temperature gradients held sound in strange ways, bending it instead of reflecting it cleanly. Fine sediment hung suspended in the water column, too small to see clearly, large enough to scatter clicks. The channel was quiet in the wrong way. Fish were present. The Dolphin could sense motion, pressure changes, faint disturbances, but they did not resolve into shapes. A school that should have appeared as a dense, shifting mass instead registered as a vague smear, its edges dissolving into noise. The Dolphin clicked again, more rapidly now. The returns came back late, not delayed by distance, but stretched, echoes overlapping with one another, arriving without clear separation. This forced the Dolphin to work harder, processing ambiguity instead of certainty. Energy spent without clarity was dangerous. The Dolphin surfaced briefly, exhaling in a controlled burst, then slipped back under. Above water, nothing looked unusual. The channel lay calm, its surface broken only by gentle ripples and reflected sky. Below, sound failed to organize space. The Dolphin adjusted depth, diving slightly deeper where water was usually cleaner. The problem followed. Sediment clouds drifted invisibly, stirred by upstream flow that had slowed without settling. The channel had become acoustically thick. The Dolphin remembered this place differently. Normally, it could travel faster here, relying on echoes to warn of obstacles, prey, and partners. Now, speed felt risky. A blurred echo could hide a sandbar, a fishing line, another dolphin crossing close by. The Dolphin reduced its clicking rate again, spacing pulses farther apart to avoid overlap. This made the picture quieter, but not clearer. Something fundamental was off. The Dolphin turned slightly, following the curve of the channel where current usually scoured the bottom clean. Even there, the echoes refused to sharpen. Objects announced themselves late, without crisp outlines. The Dolphin did not panic. Panic had no place in water like this. Instead, it shifted behavior. Slower travel, tighter attention, more frequent surfacing to cross-check vision against sound. Sight helped only near the surface. Below, light faded quickly. Sound should have taken over. It did not. The Dolphin continued forward, body language changing subtly from confident transit to cautious navigation. Each movement now included verification. Each decision cost more time. The channel had not disappeared, it had become unreadable, and as the Dolphin travelled deeper into water that no longer returned sound the way it always had, it entered a situation more dangerous than silence. A place where information still arrived, but without enough structure to trust. The echoes had not vanished. They had blurred. And in that blur, the Dolphin faced the beginning of a problem that could not be solved by speed or strength. only by patience, recalibration, and the difficult work of moving through a world where the primary sense that defined space itself had lost its sharpness. The dolphin slowed further until movement itself became cautious. In clear acoustic water, speed and certainty reinforced each other. Clean echoes allowed faster travel. Faster travel produced more information. Here, that loop broke. Every click added noise to an already crowded soundscape, and every return demanded interpretation instead of confirmation. The dolphin began to zig slightly, altering its course by small degrees. This was not searching for prey, it was searching for clarity. It sent a short burst of clicks forward, then angled its body and listened again from a new orientation. The echoes shifted, not enough to resolve detail, but enough to reveal inconsistency. Sandbanks that should have had firm edges appeared soft. Open water felt closer than it was. Objects overlapped where nothing should overlap. The dolphin rose closer to the surface. Light penetrated better here, and for a moment, vision helped. The channel walls were where memory said they should be. The surface ripples matched tide, not disturbance. No boats, no obvious hazards. Below the surface, however, the picture dissolved again. The dolphin clicked downward this time, toward the channel floor. The return was muddled, thickened by suspended particles that refused to settle. Fine silt, likely stirred by upstream flow that had slowed without stopping, hung in the water column like a veil. This explained the blur, but did not solve it. The dolphin adjusted frequency again, narrowing the band, trading range for resolution. The echoes sharpened slightly, enough to detect motion more reliably, not enough to define shape. Fish registered as shifting pressure fields rather than bodies. That was a problem. Without shape, there was no prediction. Without prediction, there could be no efficient pursuit. Chasing vague motion wasted energy and risked collision with unseen structure. The dolphin did not chase. Instead, it followed the center of the channel, where depth reduced the chance of sudden obstacles. This path was safer, but also poorer for feeding. Normally, fish gathered along edges where current slowed. Those edges were now acoustically indistinct. The dolphin surfaced again, breathing evenly, then stayed near the surface longer than usual. This was not comfort-seeking, it was redundancy. By staying close to air, the dolphin kept vision available as a backup. The trade-off was reduced acoustic depth, but under these conditions, depth offered no clarity anyway. Other dolphins were nearby. The dolphin sensed them not through clear echoes, but through disruption, pressure changes, faint signature clicks smeared by the same blur. Communication clicks were harder to localize. Direction was ambiguous. The group did not tighten. Each individual adjusted independently, spacing widening instead of closing. Without reliable sound, coordination became costly. The dolphin angled slightly toward a bend in the channel where water usually accelerated. Faster flow often scoured sediment, restoring acoustic sharpness. It approached with cautious optimism, clicking sparingly. The bend failed to help. The water there moved, but not decisively. Sediment remained suspended, trapped in slow turbulence. The echoes remained wide and untrustworthy. This was not a patch of bad water. It was a condition. The dolphin felt the cost accumulating. Not hunger yet, but inefficiency. Energy spent interpreting poor information added up quickly. Each minute here mattered. The dolphin slowed almost to a glide, tail strokes measured and infrequent. It was no longer travelling the channel as a route, it was enduring it. Echolocation pulses became occasional checks rather than continuous mapping. The dolphin relied more on body awareness, pressure against skin, changes in flow, than on sound. This was a degraded mode of navigation, usable in emergencies, unsustainable for long. The dolphin turned its head slightly and clicked once more, testing the water ahead. The echo returned blurred again. The channel offered no confirmation, and as the dolphin continued forward through space that refused to define itself, it confronted a difficult truth. When the environment stripped precision from the very sense that made it a master navigator, survival no longer depended on knowing where to go, but on knowing when to slow, when to simplify, and when to stop treating movement as progress at all. The Dolphin stopped trying to make the echoes behave. Not fully, it still clicked, still listened, but the expectation had changed. Sound was no longer a guide. It was a warning system at best, a way to detect sudden presence rather than to map intention or opportunity. This shift mattered. Echolocation usually did more than prevent collision. It created a future, showing where fish would turn, how fast they would scatter, which path would close, and which would open. Without that foresight, movement lost its advantage. The Dolphin drifted forward slowly, body relaxed but alert, tail strokes minimal. It stayed near mid-depth now, where pressure was even and the chance of sudden obstruction lower. The channel walls existed somewhere to either side, but their exact shape no longer mattered. Only proximity did. A school of fish passed nearby. The Dolphin detected it not as a shape, but as disturbance, a broad moving smear of pressure and faint sound. Normally, this would have triggered immediate acceleration, a tightening of clicks, a precise approach. This time, the Dolphin did nothing. Chasing an undefined target risked collision, wasted energy, and failure. The fish moved on, unseen and unpursued, their presence registered only as loss. The Dolphin felt the absence of pursuit keenly. Hunting was not just feeding, it was feedback. Each chase refined timing, reinforced trust in sound, confirmed alignment between sense and motion. Without it, the Dolphin's world flattened into present tense only. Now existed. Ahead did not. The Dolphin surfaced again, breathing calmly, then lingered just beneath the surface longer than before. Light filtered down, distorted but usable. For a few moments, vision supplemented sound, offering shape where echoes could not. It was enough to move safely, not enough to thrive. The Dolphin followed the channel's general direction by memory rather than confirmation. It knew this place, its bends, its depths, the way current usually spoke through sound. Today, memory filled gaps that perception could not. This carried risk. Memory assumed stability. The environment had already proven it was not stable acoustically. What else had changed beneath the surface without announcing itself? The Dolphin compensated by reducing speed further. Movement became conservative, almost hesitant, a series of short advances rather than continuous travel. Each segment ended with stillness, listening not for clarity, but for absence of threat. Time stretched. The Dolphin was still moving, still alive, still capable, but it was no longer efficient. Energy was spent maintaining caution rather than gaining advantage. This was the cost of blurred echoes. Not blindness, but doubt. As the Dolphin glided through water that refused to resolve itself into certainty, it began to treat the channel not as a corridor to be used, but as a condition to be endured. Progress slowed to the pace of safety. Eventually, the Dolphin angled slightly upward again, staying closer to the surface where light and air created a narrow margin of reassurance. This was not ideal. Predators, boats and noise existed there, but under these conditions, it was preferable to moving blind at depth. The Dolphin clicked once more, softly. The echo returned blurred, unchanged. The Dolphin accepted this. Sound would not sharpen today. The channel would not explain itself. Whatever had layered the water with sediment and distortion was not passing quickly. And in that acceptance, the Dolphin made a quiet but profound adjustment. It stopped expecting the world to present itself clearly, and began moving as if clarity might not return at all. This was not defeat. It was recalibration. The Dolphin continued on, slower, closer to the surface, guided by memory and restraint rather than precision, carrying forward not a map, but a rule. When sound cannot lead, survival belongs to those who move carefully enough to remain alive until it can. The Dolphin altered its purpose. The channel was no longer something to pass through efficiently. It was no longer a hunting ground or a shortcut between richer waters. It had become a space to occupy carefully, without urgency, until conditions changed or a safer alternative emerged. This realization settled not as thought, but as behavior. The Dolphin slowed to a near hover, moving in short, controlled segments, then pausing completely. During these pauses, it reduced clicking almost to silence, listening instead for large-scale cues, shifts in pressure, distant movement, changes in current that might signal clearer water ahead. None arrived. The sediment remained suspended. The acoustic haze persisted. The echoes stayed wide and unreliable. So the Dolphin stopped treating time as something to optimize. Energy conservation took priority over exploration. Tailstrokes became rare and deliberate. Buoyancy did more of the work. The Dolphin positioned itself where the current was weakest, letting water slide past rather than pushing against it. This was waiting, but not idleness. The Dolphin's awareness stayed high. Its body remained aligned for instant response if danger appeared, a sudden obstruction, an unexpected animal, a rapid change in depth. But it no longer searched for opportunity. Opportunity required clarity. Clarity was absent. Other dolphins passed at a distance, each following a similar pattern: slower, wider spacing, minimal interaction. Communication clicks were rare and brief, just enough to confirm presence without adding confusion to the soundscape. The group had not dissolved. It had loosened. The channel held them all in the same condition: movement without advantage, sound without structure. In such a place, cooperation was less useful than self-regulation. The dolphins surfaced once more and remained there longer, breathing slowly, eyes briefly breaking the surface to cross-check the world above. The air was calm. The channel looked unchanged. No new disturbances suggested imminent improvement. Below, the blur continued. The Dolphin dipped back under and settled into a steady, low-cost glide, neither advancing nor retreating significantly. It oriented itself along the channel's safest axis and stayed there, occupying space without pressing forward. This was the critical adjustment. By abandoning speed, the Dolphin removed the greatest risk the blurred echoes posed: collision, disorientation, wasted energy. By abandoning pursuit, it preserved reserves for when sound would matter again. The Dolphin did not know how long the water would remain like this. It did not need to. It only needed to ensure that when clarity returned, when sediment settled, when temperature layers shifted, when echoes sharpened again, it would still be strong enough to respond. The channel had not defeated the Dolphin. It had changed the terms, and the Dolphin, by choosing patience over momentum, had met those terms in the only way that made sense. Not by forcing meaning from blurred echoes, but by waiting in a way that cost as little as possible. The echoes stayed blurred, but the Dolphin remained oriented, alive, and unspent. And in a world where information itself had softened, that was enough, for now.